Welcome to the Real Talk Weekly podcast, where we discuss news, culture, life, and dive into deep conversations about our faith. Here's your host, Alan Reed.
Iowa Town misplaces its time capsule. It's too risky to get married in your 20s, ? Those are some of the topics we'll be talking about today on the Real Talk podcast. Good morning, everyone. I'm Alan Reed, host of the show. And today we have David Bullard.
Yo.
And the perspicacious.
Whoa.
Are you impressed?
Actually,
I
yes.
really am.
Do you know what that means?
No, I have no idea.
It sounds a little
You have
sweaty.
to look it up.
Yeah, I was going to say
begin with.
perspiration.
Oh, I have a ready insight and understanding of things.
That's
Wow.
I
Oh.
didn't with that word.
that is the word of the day. See if you guys can use it.
I can't. I don't even think I even can
I
say
am
it.
perspicacious. Done.
I don't know. It just kind of came out.
Sure.
So,
It just casually rolled out of his mouth.
Yeah, sure.
And where's James?
Man,
He's sick.
he has been
Some kind of virus or
struck by the sick
infection.
bug for the past 3 weeks.
He has. He's
I
been
don't like to
struck
say
by-
bug because it's too close to stomach bug.
We don't
and
want
know
to
I
kick
don't
him when
talk
he's
about
down,
those.
but he's down.
He's down.
Yeah.
Kick him.
Yep. So, James, if you're listening,
We miss you.
well, you're probably back by now by the time this airs, but we've missed you today. And so if this is your first time to listen or watch us, we typically do 2 or 3 dishes and then a deep dish. We'll dish out a few headlines that probably you have not heard anything about because they're not that important.
No,
You know,
zero.
sometimes they're
weight.
funny or they're interesting to us, but maybe they didn't make the news reels or whatever. But then we'll have a deep dish, something a little bit more not interesting. They're all interesting.
Yeah.
A little bit
It's
more
all interesting.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
Sometimes controversial.
A little more faith-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more faith. There's a good way. Yep. So we're going to do that today. That's going to be our outline. And but let's start with our icebreaker. That way we can kind of get loosened up a little bit. We do have an article coming up on marriage and is it wise to get married in your 20s? So I thought it would be good to start off. How old were you all? How old were we when we got married? And what was your biggest adjustment to the first year? So we'll start ladies first. Allie?
Oh, great.
She said
I
she didn't want to
specifically remember asking to go last.
I could go if you don't want to go.
Ladies first, David.
Okay, yeah, ladies first.
You go with it.
You're so mean. I got married in 2018, so
old were
I
you?
was 27?
Question mark?
Yeah, 27. Math.
Yeah, just right after your birthday.
Yeah. September 1st.
Wow.
So we got married later in our lives.
It's actually early compared to the average.
Sure. But
It felt like growing up a Christian.
It felt late, yeah.
Yeah.
But biggest adjustment. I think it's the biggest adjustment is having to share everything. Whether that's
That's
like
a good word.
like
Ice cream.
Yeah. Ice cream is a big one. I love ice cream, and my wife, she loves ice cream, but she's more on the salty side, not like mean salty, but like food salty. She loves chips and salsa. So definitely
Not chips and salsa ice cream.
no.
Clarify.
That's
That
what
just
I
took a
was like,
turn.
wow.
No.
Took a turn.
Chips and salsa, just instead of ice cream. But having to share like the couch, having to share a blanket. I can't share blankets with Lauren. She just steals them all.
Yeah.
That was an adjustment for sure. Though I grew up being in apartments and stuff with roommates and stuff, but having it be your spouse having to share, that's a totally different thing.
It is.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest adjustment for me.
Okay.
That's good. I was 26 when I got married. And it feels really young. But again, it felt like I was so old getting married. I think the biggest adjustment, there are funny little things, but I think the biggest one was we realized how much time we could spend with each other. And not that I got tired of Michael and not that he got tired of me quickly, but it was just like,
of course not.
you're like always here.
Yeah.
Like, and
Sharing
that's what
time. That's definitely a big one.
And that's what you hope for when you're like dating and engaged. You're like, oh, if I could just spend like another hour, but I have to go home or whatever. But then when you're married, you're like, are you sure you don't have any errands you need to run on your own? You need to spend a whole day at the,
Well,
you know,
that's
at the car
depending-
dealership.
That's depending on the person's personality.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm not a quality time person.
Me neither.
I have learned to become more quality time.
Yep.
But I like Michael didn't require that much of me. Thankfully, he learned that pretty early on. But then we had all this time, and it was like, okay, you need to make plans to spend with your friends. I need to make plans to spend with my friends,
Right. Yeah.
because that's healthy. Then we haven't like neglected our friendships and been only focusing on each other. But it was just
Also,
fun. It was
yeah.
fun to find out how much time you actually get to spend with each other.
And if you want to see how we communicate and react to our spouses, we do have an episode
Oh, we do.
That's
of just
true.
our spouse, not Alan's spouse, but
No, I was
we,
Poor
uh,
Ashley.
I was
yeah,
away.
but we have a funny episode. If you want to go back and watch that, it was a lot of fun.
It was. It was a good time.
It was a good time.
So I was 22.
Back in
An
1940.
infant.
Yeah, Ashley was 24.
Got him.
So yeah, we were on
Whoa.
the young side.
Alan,
I was barely 22.
You don't say how old Ashley is.
I didn't say how old
Yeah,
she
you did.
is. I said how old she was. She was
Oh.
24. We've been married for 20
Now we
years.
know.
Now
she's-
you can do the
now
math.
We know
No,
she's-
but I didn't say how old she was.
You just did. We can all do the math. I hope, anyways.
She's old.
Oh no.
That's
Yeah,
it.
she's
This
2
is the
years
last
older.
time we'll see Alan.
The biggest adjustment the first year was probably on her, than on me. I was telling you guys this before, so I'll go ahead and share it. But after our first year, we celebrated our first year, and I was like, babe, we made it. And wasn't it great? And she didn't look near as excited as I was about that. And I just said, well, wasn't it great? And she goes, yeah, it was great. It was good. And I just, no, what is it? She says, well, there's just a lot to get used to. And I'm like, well, what? And she said,
And then
well,
she
like,
pulled out a scroll and it was all written down. Like,
it's like your
well,
your
because
underwear
you
on the
asked.
floor, leaving things around. She's the organized one. I'm the free spirit. And I think, I was very free with where I laid things.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're still married. She hasn't left me over that yet. So
Have you become a little more organized? Would you
actually,
say?
I have. I think in my older years, I enjoy doing the dishes, which is weird.
It's fun. It's fun. Do you
yeah,
hand
I
wash
guess
or do you use your dishwasher?
Both depends on what it is.
Okay, hold up. Are you one of those people that just takes a dish that's dirty and puts it in the dishwasher?
No,
You rinse it
actually,
first?
no.
Yeah, you have to clean that
You
dish
actually
first.
have to wash the dish
Yeah,
before you put it in.
yeah.
Because the dishwasher doesn't do a good job.
No.
And it
doesn't.
dries on there and it's even harder to clean. So.
Yeah.
Michael
Yeah.
and I have had this conversation because he enjoys hand washing dishes. I don't mind it, but it's not like my go-to. If we've got a dishwasher, I'm going to use it. But he does this thing where he'll be like, yeah, I'm going to wash them by hand. And then they're starting to stack up a little bit. And my kitchen is spotless when I go to bed every night. So if there's a dish in there, you better put it away before I see it, because then I'm going to be fuming about having to have taken care of it for you when you
That
said
Lauren
you would.
cannot go to sleep if she knows that there's dishes or stuff
Yeah.
in the kitchen. She has a hard time.
Ashley's gotten better about that. I think I've loosened her up over the years. The thing that I had to get used to before we went on vacation, or maybe we left for the weekend to go see her parents or my parents, the house had to be spotless.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
If
I'm
you
just
like,
die while you're on a
why?
trip,
We're not
people
gonna be
need to
here.
know
But yeah.
that
that
you
were
were
clean.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it now because I get to come back and it's not like, oh man, look at this place. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's clean.
Get home late, crawl into a freshly made bed.
Yeah.
It's
So
perfect.
she's helped me out a lot over the years.
That's literally the only reason why we have to clean, is so when we get home, she's like, we don't have to do
You don't have
anything
to
when
do
we go to
anything.
bed.
It's so smart. It's
Yeah.
so smart.
Yep.
I don't know.
appreciate
It
now.
stresses me
At
out.
first, it would kind of annoying, but I've learned.
It doesn't annoy
I've
me. It
learned
just
to
stresses me
appreciate it.
out.
Yes.
Because we're usually like in a rush trying to pack stuff, and she's like cleaning up and vacuuming. I'm like, what are you doing? We need to pack.
She's like, pack the car. I'll take care of this. That's how I feel.
We could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
Even just like going on trips.
Yeah.
I'm always in a bad mood. Why?
Lauren and I were in Haiti for
My
our
parents
first
were always in a
anniversary.
bad mood going on vacation. It was just like stressful.
Same.
So I get like really tense. She's like, what? I'm like, actually, I don't know why I'm so tense.
Don't talk to me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right. Yeah. Just get
I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Starts crying
Yeah.
in the airport.
Yeah. Say Lauren
just
and
what
I were in
happens.
Haiti for our first anniversary on a mission trip.
That's
So
a
that was
special
fun.
way to spend
Wow.
it.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was
I've
cool.
heard of others doing that. There's another couple who's actually going to forego their
Honeymoon.
their honeymoon to go on a mission trip.
That's cool.
With me and like a group of people. I can understand why they want to go with me, but
Oh,
on
my.
their honeymoon, come
Nah.
on. No, they're great. And I really hope you go on the mission trip. But,
It felt like we were on a mission trip for our first anniversary because we were in Eureka Springs. So
oh, yeah. We went to
lot of
Cancun and we got lost. We thought we were going on like the bus that all the vacationers go on.
Oh, no.
But it was all the workers from the hotel we were staying at.
No.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a whole other story. I'm not sure why I'm talking
excited.
about that.
That's fine.
But we need to get into our dishes and our deep dishes.
It's time for the dish.
Who wants to go first? What's your dish? And
I'll go first.
Okay.
'cause
Go.
Allie still hasn't told us what hers is.
Yeah, I'm
yet,
doing a
so-
surprise
She's still
dish.
ready.
surprise dish.
That's what I call dinners. I was like, what is it? Surprise.
Surprise. Anyways, so let me preface this dish by just saying, some of us are really bad about keeping up with things, like our keys. Sometimes we lose our phone or wallets. For me, I actually have trackers on most of my stuff because I'm pretty forgetful.
I need them.
So this article. So if you think you're bad about losing your stuff, it's not as bad as the little town of Sheldon, Iowa.
Sheldon.
So the article is titled Iowa Town Asks, Where did we put our time capsule?
They lost
Their time capsule, which, to be fair, that's probably something pretty easy to lose. But
There's a lot of cornfields in Iowa, and
There are.
it's probably hard to remember which one you buried it in.
Yeah, but it's kind of important. I mean, it's a big deal. You would think they would have meticulous notes on,
so
but they could have lost them.
it's fair to lose a time capsule. It is not fair to start this whole process of doing this celebration for 150 years and planning it out, setting a date, and then finding out the whole centerpiece of the event they cannot find. So the whole event is already planned out, right? And so they are starting to ask people around town if they're like, do you guys remember the last time we did this celebration? Do you remember where we put this? And they're like, well, I think it
is
was over
funny.
here. And another person was like, oh, no, I think it's over there. So get this. They have to reschedule their celebration. So it's not technically on their 150th anniversary, but they're hiring a firm to come in and radio, find it in the ground for them.
Wow.
No, it's
That's
some
weird.
punk teenager dug it up and is just holding it in their closet.
It's some dog.
yeah.
It's some dog that just buried it.
A
dug
junkyard
it up.
dog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
why it was a
anyways,
junkyard dog.
they're having this firm come in and find the time capsule for them. So obviously, this town of 5,000 people, your taxes are going up. I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with
Oh
it.
my goodness. So it's 1870 something is when this thing was
1870 or no, it was founded in 1872. So I think
Yeah,
that
so
it
it
was
must
for
have
the I think it was for the 50th year or
150th.
100th anniversary they buried the time capsule.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Well, I mean, to be fair, who are they asking? Those people
Old
probably,
people.
their memory might not.
Well, yeah.
Serve
And
them
probably the notes
well.
were, we'll go to the oak tree down on
It's the
Main Street. And
with the yellow ribbon tied around it, and
Well, the unfortunate thing is everything. The best part of this whole thing, it says the time capsule was buried 50 years ago during the centennial celebration, and over time, its specific location became a bit fuzzy.
that's so funny.
And so
it's 50 years
they
ago.
a bit fuzzy.
apparently a lot of people have
50
said
that
it's
was
under.
1972.
Yeah,
That was the year I
Whoa,
was
my.
born.
yeah,
They should know. There was
should
almost computers by then.
yeah. But apparently
Kind of a good word.
it's under places that have cement on them already, like roads and sidewalks.
That's
So if they find it, they got to they
That's
have to
funny.
break
This town
open.
is about to be torn up.
Yeah, because of this one little time capsule that they forgot where it was.
Where would you guys bury your time capsule if you had one? 50 years from now, your grandkids are going to open it up. And so where would you bury it?
Under Culver's.
Oh my gosh, that's actually really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might be a little expensive, but yeah.
I'll find a place at Culver's and I'll bury it there.
I don't know. Everything's getting torn apart here.
Yeah, it would be harder. And
It makes me a little emotional.
who knows, in 50 years, we may not own anything, but still be happy. And so
I would bury it in the metaverse.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I would
Wow.
bury it in a cemetery disguised as
A person.
A person.
Yeah,
What
just
would that person's name be?
I haven't thought that far.
Cap.
David. Cap, last name Sewell.
Gotta dig up. Yeah, it'd probably be illegal to dig up Cap in 50 years, but
I mean,
you have to convince them that
you
it's
can't
not a
move
person.
cemeteries, really, can you?
Oh, they can.
Oof.
Yeah, I guess they
just build
actually
on top
can.
of it.
If there's a highway moving through or something
That's
like that.
so sad to me.
Isn't that the premise of Poltergeist? They built on top of
You know,
an
I have
Indian,
never seen any scary movies, so
Indian burial ground.
everything's on top of an Indian burial ground. Though,
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, this may take too much thinking. What would be like one item you'd want to make sure and put in your capsule for like 50 years later? So you guys are in your upper 20s, lower 30s. So you there's a good chance you'll be dead, but your grandkids will be alive. So
My hands
for
are
them,
sweating.
not for you, but like for your grandkids. Well,
I want to put something in there like ironic, like
I
a
think-
phone charger.
Yeah. Or like
That's where I put my phone
oh,
charger.
that's what. Yeah, something like a toy that I loved as a child. So like, I had a doodle bear. I loved my doodle bear, or like a troll, or like a Furby.
yeah.
Furby makes more sense, but
Yeah.
that'd be really scary to bury a Furby in a cemetery. I feel like that's just bad
You know,
juju.
it would speak.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
Wake
that's-
up alive. Yeah.
Ew.
Oh,
But that's the perfect place
Gremlins.
to bury it. Also.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, they really are gremlins. I hated mine kind of.
I'm so boring. See, you guys are thinking of creative, funny, interesting
I said
things.
phone charger, so
That was kind of interesting, though, in a way.
Or my diary.
See, there you go. I was thinking more in that line. I want to put like some pictures in there
Yeah.
and like a journal. Like I can tell with my parents, they're in their upper 70s. My dad's like, I can tell he's like realizing, what do we want to pass on? Like I just helped them move. They moved from a 3,000 square foot home to 1,000.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're having to figure out, what do we keep? You know, and of course, all this stuff that they've had forever, you know, it's hard to let go of, but it's like really important that they pass on their heritage and everything else. So
I'm too sensitive for this topic.
yeah, so yeah, probably a journal with interesting stories about your life. That was one thing I wrote.
That's good.
Anyways, yeah, mine was serious, but boring. All right,
Sweet.
you want to share your article?
Sure. Totally different direction. It's slightly morbid.
oh,
Once again, Hollywood ruins us, right? So, Chicago Fire production set in Chicago.
Chicago Fire. Is that the TV
That's
show?
a TV show.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep. With
Thank you.
fake firefighters.
Oh, good.
Actual couple blocks over, some shots are fired and a real fire breaks out.
It's like being a doctor in a show.
Yes. So all these poor people, these residents, see all these firemen.
Wait, so like unfortunate people, not like poor
Yes,
people.
sorry, not
Yeah.
status, but like all these poor unfortunate souls
Yes.
are watching things go up in flames, surrounded by firefighters who aren't helping them.
Wow, that is morbid.
Yeah, that is rough.
Isn't that? But I'm like, we literally have, just don't film. You know what I mean? Just don't film on the streets anymore.
Well, you have
The movie studios are so good.
Yeah, surely it was obvious to the people, like, oh, there's cameras. They can't do
I think,
anything.
but also,
that would be kind of
if your home is burning and
kind of-
you're not in the right state of mind, just the
Yeah.
idea that somebody's watching you and not helping.
yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. But then, of course, like the photos that go with the article are like very recognizable actors, like holding people. And I think that is like actually from the shoot itself instead of this whole situation. But yeah, so you can imagine the frustration when the real firefighters arrived there to do their actual jobs and just, I think I would just be hacked off if I showed up and
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just really unfortunate timing.
It is just poor timing of events. But in a way, it was a little comical to me that like, yeah, they can't do anything. None of them are trained. Had it been Tom Cruise
I was
and
gonna
somebody
say,
needed
He
a
probably
flight,
could have.
yeah, I'm
He's
just
fine.
saying.
He could have.
That's
That man-
literally where my brain went. Like,
Yeah.
He probably could
if
have.
the
put out
people
fire.
from the new Top Gun needed to fly a fighter jet. They're
Yep.
like, let's go.
We need to do a
Yeah.
whole episode just on Top Gun.
Yes.
New movie.
Oh,
It was amazing. and
Honestly.
I bought it already.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I
yeah.
gotta get that.
awesome. It made me think of Joey on Friends and him being Dr.
Drake Ramore.
Drake Ramore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
kinda
real
use
doctor.
that title every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it was just sad. But yeah, I don't think there were any deaths or injuries, so that's
Well,
good.
that's good, except
Mm-hmm.
for property loss. What a bummer.
that is a bummer. I have an article, a
Whoa.
dish. I got a dish.
Wow, dish it out.
I do.
Alan.
It was actually
Too
one of your
secret.
articles, so
Oh,
I
okay.
liked it.
Nice.
That was good.
So Alan means that
I
he's
will
got
give
Dave's
credit.
dish.
I think it was you who found this. It was on the words that came out this month, and
Yeah, that one.
I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that is
Ooh,
fun.
yeah, that was
So
a good
I was going
one.
to share with you guys a couple of words that
It's
are now in the
fun
dictionary.
and sad at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. So 3 different words that are now newly in the new Merriam-Webster dictionary. See if you can figure out what these are. This one you guys should know because you're young.
Young
Slang.
and hip,
Vibrant.
Yeah.
With
So I
the
have some
times.
questions about this if you guys know this word.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeet.
Oh yeah.
Yeet.
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 Yeah.
Oh, so you okay?
Yeah.
So you've answered my question, but
It's
what is
more
it?
of
What
a
does it mean?
reaction.
First of all, if you are 50 years old and up, do you know this? I think not.
I feel like it has
I think I've
multiple
seen
definitions.
it. I
It
think
does
I've
have multiple.
seen.
You have
this.
seen Yeet?
I've seen yeet.
I have seen the yeet.
No,
and I have understood
I've seen
the
it used. I've seen it used, and I'm just like,
I'm like, he's
I'm
got a
like,
special skill.
it doesn't
None
make
of us
a whole
have
lot of
seen
sense.
Yeet.
But
You have
so,
reached
what's the
nirvana.
slang? What is the
I see Yeet.
what is the slang for?
Okay,
for
so
yeet?
Wait,
yeet.
it's also, yeah.
This
say
is like-
it, but pronounce it in the different forms with the different definitions. The way you
Well-
pronounce it is the definition too.
Okay, so
Yeet. What is yeet? And then what is yeet?
yeet means you're like
is that?
throwing something really far. You're like chucking it. Yeet.
That is.
Yeah.
But I also
Holy
feel like,
cow.
yeah. And then if you're like, yeet,
It's like, ooh,
that's like,
boy,
oh,
that's-
dang.
That's not
Oh.
good.
Shoot.
Okay, that's like
Yeet.
Yeet.
was
Yeah.
that's just yeet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeet.
It's
That's not
what
a-
is
there's
the
no T at
what
the end
is
of that.
the English definition? It's like automatopoeia, where it like
Yeah.
you're personifying an
The-
emotion,
The
a sound.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a,
Noise is what it is kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get that. So
And then sometimes I feel like if you go like, yeet, like that's an agreement.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. That's a
Yeah.
good word.
Yeet.
this
I feel
says
stupid.
It's so deep.
It's
Yeet
a-
is deep.
it is.
Yeet. Having some deep yeet.
The dictionary definition is used to express surprise
Okay.
Oh.
or approval
Oh yeah. Yeet.
Yeet.
or excited enthusiasm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The surprise.
And then
one
the
is
other
new
one is
to
to
me.
throw especially with force.
Yeah. Yeet.
Oh yeah. Yeet. Yeah.
So would you use that like in the baseball?
Yeah. If
Watch
you're
this
like throwing
He's throwing
He
some
said,
yeet.
would you use that
Instead of
in
heat?
the
instead of heat,
baseball?
yeah.
He's throwing some real yeet here.
Yeet. Yeah. You
know.
could
I
for
guess you
these Gen Zers now. They would get that.
Okay.
Interesting.
Wow.
That
Alan,
is in our
So-
dictionary.
So that was
Alan,
one.
I can't wait for you to use that.
Yep.
I'll have to use that maybe in the next episode.
Don't
No.
let us
I'll
know it's
surprise
coming.
I want you
yeah.
to use it on the streets.
All right, here's one. And you guys might know this too, but I'd never heard of it. Meatspace.
Meatspace?
That is
Meat,
disgusting.
M-E-A-T, not M-E-E-T, but M-E-A-T, Meatspace.
Never
I don't
heard
want
of
to know
it.
about that.
Never heard of it.
I thought it makes sense when you hear about it. It's a new word.
Hold on.
maybe
Let
not
me
a new
guess.
word.
Is this a place, like a place that has meat?
Oh,
No,
I'm going to go in your head. It means your head.
no.
Oh, that one was funny. in my
Yeah,
head.
I guess
Mine.
no. It's
Like
like the
Headspace?
Yeah.
if you're thinking about, you have cyberspace, you have the meta. What do you call that?
Metaverse?
Metaverse.
Yeah.
So Meatspace is just the actual real physical world.
Ew.
I hate that. I'll
So,
never use
the
that.
physical
Oh,
world
no.
and environment, especially as a contrast with the virtual world or cyberspace. Meatspace. Let's don't meet on Zoom. Let's meet at a Meatspace.
Disgusting.
I hate that.
I feel like I'm living in a,
Next.
living in a
Word.
burrito.
I just kind of think of, I don't know,
Meat?
body.
Did you say meat in the emphasis of yeet? You just meat?
Oh my
no.
god.
Oh, this is, yeah. Sometimes I imagine
disgusting.
Pastor West listening to this like, what is the purpose of this? We'll get to
We'll
it with
get
a
to
deep
it.
We'll get
dish,
to the
Pastor West. Be patient
meat.
with us here. So that's the
Ew.
word. The last one, think economics here.
Okay.
Okay, shrinkflation.
Oh, yeah, I know what this one is.
Do you know what this is?
I did not pay attention to my economics.
You will know what this
It's not
is.
an economic term. It's more
No,
or less
it's
just slang for things that happen. So
Little inflation.
What's that?
The trend of
No, so shrinkflation, is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Is the fact that you are physically getting less of an item, but the price went up. So think like,
Or the price didn't go up, but you're getting less of that item for the
Or it
same
could have
price
gone
you-
up.
Yeti tumblers.
yeah, think
Yes.
that.
16 ounces as opposed to the 40 ounce or whatever.
Right.
But
And now
also-
you're paying twice as much for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Or
So-
like a gallon of milk.
So instead
It's
of
just under a gallon, but now you're paying
paying the
Oh.
same
Way more.
price, but for less of it.
Yeah.
And like the Starbucks, that conspiracy theory, or I guess it's not a theory anymore. They've proven.
Wait, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah. So there's like this whole trend that you can watch it on. I don't have TikTok, but you can watch it on TikTok, YouTube, all this. People take like the different size cups, and you're getting the same amount of coffee, but due to the ice that they put in your cup, you can actually like pour it into each size.
I hate that.
Just get
So
coffee.
there's shrinkflation for you.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Drink
of
coffee and it won't be a
shrinkflation.
problem, unless if it's iced coffee. But I don't
Oh,
drink
it's a problem. Also, I think I want to be on this team that makes these words.
that. I know it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is my spiritual gift.
Yeah,
It really is your spiritual gift.
adorkable. I didn't write down the definition of that one, but you can kind
That's
of get
just like
the
a
idea.
cute nerd, right?
Yeah, I think that it is.
I
Yeah,
think so.
just
Adorkable.
aw,
Yeah,
so sweet.
He's so adorable. So I thought that was pretty
Is that
cool.
the only other one?
Yeah, those.
Oh.
That was actually an additional one. I wasn't planning on doing that one.
That was
So
fun.
yeah, kind of fun there. All right. So now we're going to go
So
to the
good.
deep dish, right?
dish.
This one's interesting.
We need like audio cues between each of these.
We do.
I think we need to
Should we
create like
record some of
a
our
deep dish.
deep dish?
Yeah,
go.
we need a little.
We can
like,
do a
jingles.
4-part
Can you
harmony.
work on that? Kind of part of your job.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I will now.
Called him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeet,
As producer,
Alan.
Yes.
yeet.
4-part harmony. Singing
Just
yeet.
Can you say?
Yeet.
You can't say he's got yeet. That doesn't make sense.
No. We'll figure it out. We'll
I'll work
figure
it
You're
out.
gonna
I'll work
get
it
it
out.
out.
We're going to
You're
the
gonna
deep
get
dish
it.
now.
It's the deep dish.
Deep dish. Okay. Is it too risky to get married in your 20s? Really, really interesting article in the New York Times, came out in February. And like even watching you guys read this article and seeing like the surprise on your face, like, oh, wow, this isn't where I thought it was going to go type of thing. And so, but really interesting. I'm going to encourage everyone to read it. And I do think you have to have a subscription, but usually you can kind of
There's a
find
free.
it.
We can link this, can we not?
I don't think that's really legal since Alan already paid for it.
Hey,
But-
I'm paying for everybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
This
Anyways,
is Christmas gift.
I think-
Articles on me.
I think they have one free article,
yeah.
so you could probably read it.
Just make sure you read
Yes.
it all at
and
that time.
don't read anything else from the Wall Street Journal.
So, yeah, really interesting article. And so here's the premise of it. The thinking goes that not getting married young, like 22 or 20, that is probably frowned upon a little bit. But waiting till you're in your, 30, 29, 30 years old, that's kind of the average now, is healthier because you're more mature, you're more likely to stay together. And it is true that getting married later in life in today's society, especially with the way that people date and move in together before they get married and all that, kind of the common customs that probably is a better way to go if you're not going to maybe live, quote, a Christian lifestyle and do things according to the Christian faith. And so, yeah, it was just an interesting article on that. And they discovered that there is also another segment of society where they see a very high rate of success and low divorce rate. And it is among 20-somethings, young 20-somethings that never cohabitate before they get married. And so you read this article and it's just really good, solid, old-fashioned advice. And,
which is surprising coming from the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And also just from our society in general.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. One, when you heard about this article, because you guys saw the link, you couldn't read the whole thing because you didn't pay for it.
No.
You didn't pay
It's not in my budget.
Yeah. And so I went ahead and paid for a subscription just to get the article. I wanted to get this article.
I feel like there's an episode of The Office that
Yes.
is just like
And
this.
so you guys were reading it and everything, and you guys seemed a little surprised. I guess maybe were you surprised? Why were you surprised?
It just doesn't fit with the concept in my mind about how our culture is right now. Like, I am maybe shocked that there is like a group of people out there who maybe wouldn't classify themselves as believers, but live a very traditional view of marriage lifestyle and aren't living with each other. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I have friends like this, so I don't know why it's that shocking, honestly, but they do have great marriages and they're mature people in their marriages and they have stayed together for years, or their marriage is great and I have no concern for them. But so it's just kind of interesting because everything in our culture paints it differently. Like every TV show, every movie is almost praised for your relationship getting to the point where you can live together. And like, that's a big deal. And, those conversations happen and stuff. So this was just really shocking to me, I think.
Yeah. Same reason.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of quotes in this whole article that are just really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. But one of them it's later on in the article, and it's from psychologist Galena Rhodes. Mm-hmm. She says, we generally think that having more experience is better, but what we find for relationships is just the opposite. Having more experience is related to having a less happy marriage later on. Yeah. So it's one of those things that, like, in the Bible where it's talking about in the Old Testament, it's like, don't eat pork. It's bad for you. Like kind of the kosher kind of way of things. Mm-hmm. The diet is, you kind of find out like, hey, this diet actually really is good for you, mm-hmm. and I shouldn't eat bacon. And it just leads to problems. It's funny how just common thought of, like applying that to marriage. Like, if you don't have a relationship or cohabiting relationship before you get married, you're going to have more successful marriage. It's kind of like, duh, like that makes a lot of mm-hmm. sense. And it's funny how the world is realizing that, like we've known that as Christians, like the Bible tells us that we're mm-hmm. supposed to not do that. And it's funny that the world is kind of catching up to that thought process.
I love it when that happens, not out of like a, oh, told you so kind of a thing, but it's just more of like, you know what? God, he lays these foundations and he puts these things in place for a reason. It's good for us. It's like healthy
it's
for us.
Designed that way.
Yeah.
Weird.
But it's cool to see when when people who are kind of assuming an answer are surprised, and it points back to what most of us that have grown up maybe in a more traditional home or in a traditional Christian home, it's like, man, this is what we've been taught all of our lives. But I think we also forget that not everyone's been taught this all their lives. No. And not living together before you get married would be as equally maybe shocking or maybe even disappointing in some circles than it would be for our parents, if we would have done the other thing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so here's some of the highlights just so everyone can get the gist of it. The premise of the whole article, the research shows that marrying young without ever living together with a partner makes some of the lowest rates of divorce, which, it says a lot because, one, we don't have to wait until we're 30, and you really think about like, for a woman to get married at the average age at 29, there's already that tension of, man, I need to start having kids soon.
Yes. Everything's rushed.
Right.
I feel like.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before, maybe even on a different episode, that there are a lot of things in society that is pushing against the idea of getting divorced in a traditional way. I don't know how many couples that I've done premarital counseling for over the years that we made a decision to move in together because it just made financial sense, mm-hmm. Paying for two different mortgages or rents and how expensive it is these days. There's so many things that kind of push against that. But seeing this, it just gives good clarity as, what, there's good reason. If you're a young person, you're in high school, you're in college, you're just out of college, not to be afraid of getting married early. If you're in love with this person and it's right, and then from a pastoral standpoint, that your why for getting married are all healthy, good reasons. I encourage people to get married and not wait, because the temptation to move in together, the temptation to move that relationship further, because you're dating for years, instead of, for a year or whatever that is, or 2 years. Those temptations and those struggles go up. And so, but it goes on to say here that the normal way of thinking for years, if you're thinking from maybe an outside of the Bible thinking, is that experience, living with living together first, or having plenty of experiences where not only are you living with someone, but you're having maybe you slept with a few different people. All those experiences will benefit and add up to wiser choices, right? It's kind of what they're saying. That was the thought. But this article is saying it's actually wrong. And it makes sense. It made me think about it. And it's like, if I had slept around with 2 or 3 people before I met Ashley, or I had lived with 1 or 2 people before Ashley and I lived together, during those low moments when you're just kind of fed up, which we all have, it probably would draw your mind back. You know what? Back then, it wasn't ideal, but you kind of think of those things can be ideal. It would add a whole lot of pressure and temptation just to say, man, it used to be better. And maybe it was, or maybe it wasn't, whatever, but just having those added memories are actually baggage that can weigh down the relationship. That's what this article is saying.
And we already knew that.
Yeah. And it's just saying that you're constantly playing that comparison game. The article is saying, you have all these experiences, and then you're constantly comparing your spouse or your person you're in a relationship with to other people. Yeah. And obviously that's a detriment to the relationship rather than a benefit.
Yeah. I want to read these 2 paragraphs, and then we'll kind of, we'll have some closing thoughts here. It's so funny how they word this. We don't know precisely why young women who marry directly in their 20s without cohabitating have comparatively low divorce rates. It is less experience breaking up, fewer previous partners for comparison, a greater sense that marriage is at a different relationship status, or the fact that such women are disproportionately religious. It's not clear. It's so funny, that this is just still kind of like they're just trying to wrap their minds around this. What is clear is this: if you are a young woman, and by the way, they researched 55,000 women. I guess they did interviews with them through this. So their research was with 55,000 women and coming up to a consensus of this. But it says, if you're a young woman thinking about getting married but worried about divorce, our research suggests that you need not wait until you're 30, so long as you found a good partner, and don't move in with anyone until after your wedding day.
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that awesome?
We came to this conclusion, and you're like,
Through
that's
science.
already been a conclusion for a long time.
Yeah. It's just, I find it encouraging, and especially in a day and age when there's so many challenges going on and so many things that are encouraging young people to wait. One of them is, what is it? Global warming. People are not getting married because of global warming or the end of the. Yes. Yeah, it's weird stuff. And it's like, I don't want to have any kids because I don't want them growing up in this crazy world.
I've heard that one a lot.
That's been around for a long time.
The world has always been crazy.
It's always been bad.
The world has always been crazy. And so anyways, any other thoughts? Or
another angle where this actually makes a lot of sense to me. It's still perplexing that we're just now all on the same page about this, but so much of your 20s to 30s is figuring out who you are. And I can't remember what the phrase for that decade is, but it's, they're difficult years, right? And so you go through your quarter life identity crisis. You're trying to figure out your career. You're trying to figure out your future, and you've got like 10 years to do so. So it makes sense to me that getting married young, you go through all these really difficult grown-up things with your best friend. Yeah. And so that makes sense that those would mold you together. And so your divorce rates would be lower if you have walked through these really, really hard years of understanding who you are better, and then moving into the future with them. I used to be scared of the idea of getting married young for multiple reasons, but mostly just because I'm very independent. So I wanted to do my own thing and wanted to be established and know who I was really before I ever invested in someone else. So, it's interesting. And I feel like I have a lot of friends who I'm seeing get married younger these days too, which is exciting. But there's also this little part of me that's like, I'm scared for you, but not really. But like you said too, Alan, I really love that. I really love when principles, like biblical principles, come to life for someone without ever having to like give them the gospel. Yeah. Like they've figured out things that make sense to them. And so now when you share the gospel with them, they've already kind of had a foundation built on their own. And so anything you share with them is going to click, I feel like, so much easier. And so I think it's awesome that this is kind of where we're trending. And hopefully this small segment that was tested is a good representation of the larger picture of our population.
Yeah.
I just really thought in the article halfway through, they give examples of specific people on both sides of the stance. And the couple that they gave, the example of getting married, it says newly married 20-something couple from Dallas. We kind of figured out if they were actually Christians or not because everyone from Texas are automatically Christian.
They love the Lord.
Anyways, and they got married at 24. So right here it says they got married on the younger side of this age range. And they're just talking about like their friends made fun of them for getting married so young. But when they ask them, their friends, like when they got married who were cohabitating beforehand, they're just like, well, to be honest, it's not that different. Like it's not any different than what I was doing before we got married. So there's no hype. There's no benefit of getting married in their eyes besides like financial stuff. But on the flip side, it said the couple that got married young, it said they've been so surprised at the beauty of the mundane. So like cooking together, doing laundry, decorating for Christmas, and stuff like that. So I just find it really interesting that, yes, the culture wants to lower the hype and the standard of marriage, but when they fully experience what it was meant to be, then there's joy out of it, whether it's a biblical joy of like doing biblical things together, or just, common graces of doing these things together, like cooking and laundry. Yeah. You're finding joy in the small things. And I felt like that was really profound, because for me, I experienced that too. Like I experienced joy doing laundry, and Lauren does most of the laundry, so she would be like, "You don't do really laundry." Doing the dishes and cooking for Lauren, or us cooking together. There's just so much joy in that. And for those that are listening, of like trying to decide about marriage, definitely this article is really, really interesting, and you should read it because there's a lot of good examples and truths. And it, like we've been harping on, these are not just, they are biblical truths, but they're just common graces that these people are experiencing. Yeah. And so, this is a really interesting article. Like you were saying, both of us were really surprised reading it.
I had the benefit of reading it through and kind of digesting it beforehand. But I think, for me, in closing, as I was reading it, I obviously was encouraged too. But like over the past 3 years, it seems like I've taken on more and more responsibility here at the church with doing the premarital counseling, and I love it. And I love talking, especially with younger couples who are in love. And my very first interview question, because usually before we go through the premarital counseling, I do a little interview. One of my first questions is, so why are you guys getting married? And this isn't a wrong answer, but the typical answer is, I love this person. We just, it has to do a lot with the emotions and being in love, and this person's right for me and everything. And that's obviously a good sign. You want to see a couple excited,
I guess,
and feeling
it's
compatible.
the next
That'll
step.
cut
So.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like there's a book that we use. Pastor West uses this book. I use the book as well. I've used it for years, called Preparing for Marriage by Dennis Rainey. And chapters 1 and 2 are really going over the foundations of biblical marriage. And it answers the question, why? Why marriage? And it's not that their answers are wrong, but as we go through it, they realize it's so much deeper than that. Not only are we in love, but we are entering into something that God created for a purpose and a reason, and it actually reflects more of who He is, imperfectly in our marriage, but there's a reflection of it because we're created in the image of God, and marriage is a greater reflection of the Trinity, So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so if you know of anyone getting married, if you are thinking of getting married, I would encourage you, go to your local church, go to that pastor or a pastor that you know, and ask for premarital counseling. Not just, we all need it, but also just to enter into this, probably the most important decision that you're going to make besides making a commitment to follow Christ is making a commitment to somebody else, and really understanding, why do we have this thing called marriage in the first place? Is it biblical? Is it really needed? Why don't we just live together? Isn't that the same thing? It's so much more than that. So anyways, that's it. That was the deep dish. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any reminders? Anything we need to share? Maybe or subscribe?
Definitely like and subscribe.
And share.
If you're on the audio side of things, give us a review.
Yeah. And if you're still listening by now and you haven't liked the video, I'm disappointed. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Hit the like button.
Yeah. Don't make Alan cry.
Don't make him cry. We don't want to see it.
No, we don't.
Don't make me
I
angry.
think it'll be really dramatic, actually.
We also just released a new podcast called Real Talk Theology.
Yeah.
Right
was on
now,
the first one.
it's once a month, but if y'all respond to it even more, we might increase that. Maybe. We'll see. But definitely go check that out. It's really cool, with Brock and Allie and Mitchell and Chris.
Aaron Mitchell.
Yeah, I always do that. His last name is Mitchell. So
He's got 2 first names.
Yeah. So it's really cool. You should check it out.
Yeah, just theology for the everyday person and understanding how we play a role being just common theologians. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yep, it's good stuff. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.